So on this one, as we split it up, end up with 3 5s and a 2. The big difference here is that I've got this index of 3. And so whenever that index changes, so when I've got a little number there, that means instead of doing a group of 2, I've got to get a group of 3. So here I've got a group of 3 5s, and then all of those are going to combine together to bring a 5 on the outside. And this 2 didn't have a pair. Remember, we split up the 10 and the 25. So since that 2 doesn't have a pair, we will put it back inside the house. Okay, looking at 32, now we're looking for a group of 4. And so, let's see, 32 we could split up into 8 times 4. Eventually you'll get to where you split up 8 into just 2, 2, and 2. But I know it's 2 times 4. And I could do, there's a pair of 4s. Unfortunately, I'm looking for a group of 4 numbers. So 4 is 2 and 2. So for both of those. And it's really helpful to cross those out or something as you split them up, just so you don't end up getting an extra number mixed in there. So I'm looking for a group of 4 because that's the 4th root. And so that puts a 2 on the outside, and I've got that 1, 2 that's left over. Okay, and so you always have that instance sometimes of what if nothing actually factors out. So if I had, for instance, maybe the 3rd root of 17. Well, 17's a prime number. It's not going to split up into anything anyways. So if nothing whatsoever splits out, I'm just going to rewrite that as my answer. And I'm just going to say, well, there's my answer right there. Okay. So if nothing comes out of it, of course, it's just going to stay the same. Okay. And now let's look at a couple other ones. So reviewing like 12, for instance, just doing the square root. So when I split it up into 3 and 4, and we're going for all prime numbers, so that 4 splits up into 2 2s. Since I don't have a number there, that automatically means it's a 2. And the reason for that is most of the radicals you run into in regular things as just a square root, so having a 2 there. So instead of putting a 2 on all of these that normally show up, they just say, well, this normally means square root, so doing the opposite of squaring something. And then if it's anything higher, that's where we put the number. So that one would be 2 square root of 3. And we'll skip around a little bit here. I want to look at least one where we have the number on the outside. So when I have 108, I could say, well, that's a that's an even number. Or I could say, I know it divides by 3. Any of that works. So looking at it as an even number, 108, half of 100 is 50, half of 8 is 4. So I could split that up as 2 times 54. Of course, you could split it up as 3 times something. You could even do 9 times, I'm going to say it's 9 times 12 maybe. So you also have, now when I get to 54, I know that's 6 times 9. And 6 splits up into 2 times 3. And 9 is 3 times 3. So crossing out my ones that are already split apart and checking my radical there. So the 3rd root means I need a group of 3 numbers that are the same. So I've got 3's there that are the same. So 3 goes on the outside. Now I have these 2 2's that aren't paired up, or aren't in a group of 3. So since they are not in a group of 3, I'm going to multiply them back together, turn it into a 4, and that's going to go inside my house. And so everything here is multiplying and dividing all the way through. And the thing I can't forget that almost did is that I need the little 3 up there. So I know it's the third root, because if it was just squared, that'd be a totally different problem. And that's not a very good 3, but I know what it is. So if we got to write it up a little higher, you can absolutely do that. And the last thing that I forgot a couple things on this. There's a 2 on the outside there. So that 2, I have to multiply by that 3, which means I'm going to end up with a 6, and we'll write it a little nicer, third root of 4. And that will be that completely simplified. So a lot of stuff going on that one, but making sure we remember every little part, and that's why kind of check in and looking back as I go through to kind of make sure everything goes where it should. Looking at maybe 1 or 2 more. If I've got 252, I could do at least half of that. So 2 and then half of 252 be 126, I believe. And then splitting that up would be 2 and 63. 63 looks like it would be, and so 63 we'd split up into, let's see, what is that, 9 times 7. And 9 would split up into 3 times 3. So on this one I've got, and we're just looking for pairs, so I've got a pair of 2s, pair of 3s, and then this 7 that's kind of out on its own. And if need a little more like ways to organize, if I circle these, sometimes I will box the ones that go back inside the house, because it's a box, it looks like a house, ta-da. But that gives you a little reminder. So I've got a 3, a 2, and then another 2 that are all going to be multiplied together. So 2 times 2 times 3, and that's all outside the house. And inside is just going to be a 7. So I multiply that, I get 4 and 3, which is 12, square root of 7. Okay, so it gives you a little bit of an example of all the different types. In class, we'll try to work through some more, but that hopefully gives you a good idea of how we're going forward with simplifying those radicals.